Hi guys, welcome to Excel Assignment 4. We are working on analyzing and charting financial data in this video. I'm specifically doing the how-to walkthrough of the review assignment on page EX248 on your textbook. Alright, as always, if you get stuck, this video is in the discussion board. You can use the walkthrough to help you finish and finalize the assignment. Alright, I'm not going online to download the files. At this point in the class, you should have figured out how to download the work files for yourself. And so I'm going to just start working on it. You can see on my desktop case 1. Let's look at the rubric first. You should always be looking at your rubrics. You can see that the case study is worth 30 points. And always make sure you've entered your name. You can see that we're going to be working with doing a few different things. We're going to work on budget, do some financial functions. We're going to do some what-if analysis. We're going to make some chart, custom and clustered charts. We're going to be creating spark lines, and we're going to do formatting of different graphs and charts. All right, according to step 1 in the case problem 1, we're going to open the Bernard family budget. All right, I know as soon as I open this, I need to put my name in. No matter what, every single time, it's going to ask me for my name. Might as well just do it. And you know it's going to ask you for your date. Today's date for me is 10/21/2014. So you should know that I am doing this in real time in this class, the same as you. Again, this is a walkthrough of how to do this assignment as if a student was doing it. So looking at the Bernard workbook, I see I have 2 worksheets, documentation and budget. I can see I'm going to be filling out some averages of monthly expenses. I'm going to do some mortgage analysis, and I have some income expenses. I'm going to be doing some spark lines, all kinds of fun stuff. The things you're learning in this chapter are very, very applicable into your real work. These are the things that make your presentation stand out in the real world, either if you're in the workforce or if you're going into the college world. All right. So we've done steps 1 and 2 on page EX249. We've done the document sheet and we changed our name in cells B3 and B4. And so in the budget workbook in the range 04 through 06, or 0406, 04 to 06, we're going to enter the parameters of $275,000 mortgage. We're going to have a rate of 4.35, and we're going to pay this over 30 years. Alright, so we're talking mortgage. I know that this means I'm buying a house. I'm trying to figure out what my annual income and my annual expenses are and my average monthly expenses. Alright, so I know my mortgage, $275,000, that's my initial principal. I know my interest rate is 4.35%, and I know I'm paying this loan for 30 years. Remember that for financial statements, the 3 things you must have is principal, interest, and time. Principal, interest, and time. In the range 08 through 09, we're going to calculate the total number of months to repay the loan and the interest rate per month. So we know for 30 years there is 12 months a year times 30 years. So there's 360 months. And I know my interest rate per month equals my interest rate for annual divided by 12. So I'm going to pay 0.363% interest every month. And I'm going to switch to my, dadgummit, delete that, control and squiggle, and I'm going to go into my formula view. So we have interest rate per month. We have 05, my 30 years, I'm sorry, 05, my interest rate for my annual, divided by 12 months per annual. I have my, how many months is my 06, 30 years, times my month of 12. Switching back into regular. All right, we're on to cell 011. In cell 011, we're going to use the PMT function. So choose function, and I'm just going to do a quick search for PMT. There it is. And I know my rate is the total number of payments. Total number of payments. PV is the present value. and we're going to leave FV and type alone. We don't want future value and we don't care about type for this. Now, so we got a negative symbol here. It's in red. Okay, I made one quick mistake. Instead of being 05, it should be 09, 08, 04. So my payments are my 09, how many months I have, 08, or 09 interest rate, 08 is months, 04 is going to be my initial value. So my monthly payments are coming in at negative $1,368.98. I know it's going to be a monthly payment out because it's in red and has parentheses. So this is a negative value. I pay out of pocket every month that money, about $1,300. All right, in range D25 through O25. So coming down here, D25 through O25. We're going to enter the value of the monthly mortgage payment by creating an absolute reference to the cell in O11. Remember, the absolute reference requires the use of the dollar signs. So we're going to reference the first one for January to our monthly payment, which is O11. Then we're going to modify this to do an absolute reference by putting in a dollar sign before the O and a dollar sign before the 11. Because we know every month we're going to pay the same exact amount. And then I'm just copying and pasting it over. Our next step is in D18 through O18. Let's see, D18 through O18. We're going to calculate the income per month. Now, you could use the sum function here, but there's only two of them. So I'm going to say this equals, you can say sum of the range of D16 to D17. Or I could have changed it to equals D16 plus D17. Same value. And because this is going to change each month, I'm not going to use an absolute reference. And I'm going to copy the format over to all the rest of them. And you can see it changes each month depending on the income of Andrew and Maria. All right, let's see, in range D27 to O27, we're going to come up with the total expenses. Now, because there's more than two of them, I'm definitely using the sum function because I don't want to sit there and type in the plus symbols over and over again. And again, I'm just using the Control-C, Control-V because I like using the keyboard more than I like using the mouse. And then in range D28 through O28, we're going to come up with the income versus expenses. So we're going to go to D28. We're going to equal income minus total expenses. Gives me a net income of $4,400 or so for the first month, and then we're going to copy them over. All right, our next step is to come up here in the C budget, C4 through C11, and we're going to start calculating these average monthly values. Oh, excuse me. So we're going to figure out the average of food first. Now they said average, so we're going to use the average function. You can use the function bar, find average, hit OK, and we're going to use the range because we're looking for food of D through O, D19 through O19. Hit OK. And then I'm just going to copy this straight down the list. One thing I should show you is in the mortgage payment, we want this to be a positive number. So we're going to change this to 1 times the payment. I'm sorry, negative 1 times the payment. All right, so we got positive numbers now through everything. Our next step is to add gradient data bars to the values in ranges C4 through C11. So C4 through C11, we're going to insert, and we're going to come over here, and we're going to use the quick analysis. We're going to choose data bars. And we're going to set the maximum length of the data bars to a value of 2,500. And we're going to have to do that by the conditional formatting, manage rules, edit rule, change from maximum to number, and change our number over to 2,500. Hit apply. You can see it modified until it only fits 3/4 of the way through. Alright, on our Explorer 10, we're going to insert spark lines in the range D4 through D11. D4 through D11, and we're going to do spark lines using the expense values in the range D19 through O26. So we're going to go over here to insert spark lines grouping, and we're going to insert a line spark line. Our data range is going to be D19 to O26. On the Sparkline Tool Design tab, we're going to do a high point checkbox to mark the high point in each sparkline. The next thing we're going to do is create a clustered column chart of the income, expenses, and net income for each month of the year based on the data in the non-adjacent range. The range is D15 to O15, D18 to O18, D27 to O28. So let's start selecting our non-adjacent range. We have D18 through, D15 through O15. We have D18 through O18. We have D27 through O27. And we're going to create a custom chart. So insert, and let's just go up here to all charts. Let's see if we got a recommended one. That clustered column. Here we go. Okay, hit OK. Alright, and from the clustered column chart, we are going to then insert this into the within the range of E2 to K12. So I'm going to click and hold my Alt button, click on E2, let go, and then drag it into K12. K13 looks like, actually. Right there. You see it fits nicely in between those now. Now students, when I made this chart, I did not choose all three data ranges. So what I'm going to do is show you how to fix an error if you made this chart without all three data ranges, because this is a common occurrence. I was supposed to choose the ranges of D15 through O15, the range of D18 through O18, and D27 through O28. So what I did was only choose total expenses and total income, but I want total income, total expenses, and income expense. So chart formatted, I can come up here and choose the format, and so underneath design, I'm going to choose select data, and I'm going to choose to add a data set. The data series I'm adding is the income expense because that's the one I missed out before. And just hit OK. And that doesn't seem to be wanting to work for me, even though I showed you, so I'm just going to delete it and start it again. Click on it, click delete, choose your data range. insert, recommended charts, and we're going to go to all charts, and we're looking for a clustered column chart. Drag that into the cells E2 through K12. From here, we're going to start modifying the cluster chart, and we're going to choose cluster chart, come back up here, chart design, and we're going to choose style 8. Style 7, style 8. We're going to change the chart title, double click the title, to income and expenses, and format to Calibri non-bold. So home tab, non-bold, Calibri, 12-point font. And make sure you have the titles. 12-point font, non-bold. We're going to change the vertical scale of the chart from range from -1000 to 6500. So click over here on the vertical axis. We're going to change our scales. Which is going to be under axis options, and we're going to do this a boundary of -1000 to 6500. In steps of 1000. We're going to change the series overlap of columns to 0% and the gap width to 200. Series overlap, we're going to change this to 0, and the gap width to 200. You can see I got to this point by clicking on the data itself. Just hit escape to get out of that. Then file, save as, make sure you're saving to wherever you can get to it. I like to work on my desktop. And we're supposed to save this one as Bernard Budget. And as like always, I have one already on my desktop. So I'm going to save as Bernard Budget 1. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is perform a what-if analysis by changing the length of the loan from 30 years to 15 years. So we have this fancy budget here that's done all of our amortization schedule. We know what we're going to pay from our total income, total expenses, and what our net is. But what happens if we switch this years from 30 to 15? What you'll see is your graph changes, your spark lines change, your bars change, everything changes based on that one modification. Now, since we made that modification, we just file, save as, again, I like the desktop, and save as Bernard Budget 2. It cancels. I've already done it, so it would have saved. That's it. Close her down, then upload it to me. So I have done the case study, and it took about 18 minutes to accomplish this case study. The tutorial should take you quite a bit longer, thinking about an hour to maybe 3 hours, depending on your skill level for the tutorial. If you have any questions, make sure you post in the discussion board. Make sure you're posting the emergency Ask My Teacher. And if you get really stuck, send me an email or call me at 595-7451. All right, guys, I wish you the best of luck. If you need me,